All right? You can have the peaches, but that's it. You definitely can't have the honeybees. Hey, there's some blueberries. You're gonna have to go into the woods. You're not allowed to get the honey. The bees are allowed to live there, okay? You've had your peaches. Go on. I know, you're thinking about it. The honey smells good. But that fence is electrocuted, and that's gonna hurt if you try and get on it. Go on. Go on, little bear. You've had all my peaches. You getting a bee on you? I'm not surprised. They're probably going to start defending their hives. Okay, you all saw that, right? You just saw what was on my property. It's been many years since we've had a bear out here that we've seen. I came outside bright and early to chat with you so I could try and talk to you before the dogs started barking. And I walked out the front door and he's 20 feet away from me eating the rest of the peaches off my tree. There's no peaches left. They weren't doing well anyway. There was a huge crop, but they were all going moldy like they usually do just because it's too wet on this side of the mountain. But he enjoyed them, so that's good. I have to keep peeking to make sure he's not coming back around, because we sat and chatted for a minute and then he walked off and it looked like he was leaving the property, and so I waited a minute and then I walked outside slowly, made a bunch of noise, came up to my porch, and there he was standing behind the honeybees looking like he was interested in getting in the hives. We have an electric fence around them, but we just weed-eated around the honeybees the other day and I don't hear the fence clicking, and usually you hear it clicking, so I don't know if the fence is on. So he might have been able to get into the honeybees, so I'm glad I was able to stop him, but now he's just kind of off in the woods a little bit back there. It didn't look like a full-grown bear that I know of, so for a little bit I was worried that his mom was going to show up. But I don't see anyone else. I guess it's a juvenile maybe. He seemed very sweet. I sprayed some lavender on myself before I came out, just in case there were any mosquitoes or something. For a little while, he looked like he was just sniffing the air like he was gonna sneeze. I guess he smelled me. I think that's why the dogs are barking already, because they probably smelled that the bear is out. Anyway, that was exciting. That was an exciting start to our podcast. Everyone. That was quite a morning, wasn't it? It is a rare occasion that we get a bear out on this property, even though I know there are a bunch out in the woods. They just don't come very often. We used to have a very large Akita, and Akitas, well, they used to be bear and boar hunters when they were originally bred in Japan. And she kept the bears off the property. In fact, there was one bear that became somewhat aggressive, and Suki, our dog, got in a fight with her. She was fine. I mean, she had some injuries, but after that, it's probably been 5 or 6 years since I feel like we've seen a bear. I know that some of our neighbors have had bears on their property, up on their porch, or, you know, after they've grilled out or something, but wow, that was kind of cool. I didn't feel scared at all. Like, it didn't seem like it was an aggressive thing. It was because I know some people are like, stay away from bears. They're not like grizzlies or anything. Black bears are usually pretty tame. Not tame, but gentle, I guess, unless they feel threatened. So I just figured I'd have a nice conversation with him instead of screaming and yelling and saying, get off my property or whatever. And I don't know, that might not have been a good thing, because that might mean he's going to come back every time he's hungry, but we have some food, so I wasn't going to eat the peaches. Anyway, we're tucked inside now, where we will be bear-free for a while. He may want to go back and eat the peaches he left on the ground, so I figured with the dogs barking and him outside, I'd probably just podcast inside. Anyway, welcome. It is Thursday morning, sometime in late July. I don't know what day it is. My youngest is at a sleepaway camp. My husband just started yesterday on the John Muir Trail. He's hiking the JMT, which is a little over 200-mile trail out west, and is super excited about that. I told him to get lots of pictures so I could show you guys what he did. I know it's a beautiful trail, but he was happy to plan for everything, like all different kinds of weather. There's still snow in some places. So we had to get spikes for his shoes. It's kind of crazy, but I'm super excited to hear how it goes. He hiked the Appalachian Trail when he was in his early 20s, and every spring around March, he starts getting this look in his eye like, oh man, what if I could hike again? You know, like, he could do it. He just has different responsibilities now, and so he doesn't feel like he can take that amount of time off. So this spring, when he decided he was gonna hike and he thought he wanted to do a different trail, the John Muir Trail, I was like, go for it, that'd be amazing. Plus, hiking a trail is a lot less expensive of a midlife crisis than buying a Ferrari or something. Not that it's a midlife crisis, but it's just kind of funny. He's on an amazing adventure, and I can't wait to hear how it is when he comes back and share some of that with you. So the past few weeks, with kids being in camp and Toby occupied with his prepping for his trip, I've gotten a lot of stuff done. This summer has been crazy so far, and I have a lot of stuff to share with you. The first thing I will share is some knitting. Check it out, y'all. I have finished my fleece flight. The plan was only to do 1 triangle a month and be done by October so I could wear it to Rhinebeck, but as you can tell, I was a little bit anxious. I really wanted to get to this last color. This elderberry with iron and alum is such a cool, like, steel blue color. And instead of thinking, oh, I'll start there and use that as the first color, I ended up putting it as the last color, so I just kept going. So here it is. It's absolutely beautiful. Super soft and squishy. I love the colors. There are 5 skeins of Casey and Corey in here. That's a CVM Rommeldale mix that I got from Prado de Lana. And then the 5th, let's see, this brown right here is Terrence, who is pure CVM, who is also on the Prado de Lana farm. So because I have that 1 full skein of Terrence in there, who's a rare breed, I can count this for my Shave 'em to Save 'em, which is the program through the Livestock Conservancy that helps to bring awareness to and do research for rare livestock breeds, not just sheep. But the Shave 'em to Save 'em is specifically a sheep thing that they're doing right now, and it's all on their website, and I'll link that so you can see. But you earn points by using roving, fleece, yarn, anything related to the rare livestock sheep that they have on their website. So there it is. It was a lot of fun. It's kind of, I think it's an addictive knit, partly because you just want to finish one, the next triangle. It's kind of like color work, but it's all garter stitch. You're just knitting with occasional wrap and turn. And so you can do it while you're watching a movie but just that little wrap and turn from the short rows, I don't know, I think it keeps things interesting. So I really like it. There's still a knit along going on until November, so if you're interested in joining in, you can. That's all in my Ravelry group. So yes, my second completely naturally dyed. The first 3 colors are wild cherry bark, and the last 3 colors are elderberry. That is the only finished object that I have as far as knitting goes. I have a work in progress, and this is the Good Day Tea by Annie Lupton, and I'm using Moleview's Whimsy Club from January. That's this one right here, that pretty orangey, golden, peachy, I don't really know what color to call it. It's really beautiful, brass kind of. And then the silver color is one that I had naturally dyed for Fern Fiber, and it's the Seven Sisters base. So it has linen and alpaca and silk, I believe. And I think I dyed that with fennel and nettles. So yeah, I really like it. This is the center right here, and then this will continue out as the side and the arms, and then I'll do that on the other side, and then something similar for the back, and then we'll seam it all up. I think it's looking nice. Oh, the only thing I've done differently with this so far is that she recommends that you bind off your stitches at the top of the centerpiece, and I left them live thinking that I could do a 3-needle bind off, but I realized I'm also going to be seaming this part with the other, like this sideways garter with the back, and so it'd be hard to do a 3-needle bind off here and then seam this, so I will probably go back and bind it off. I had left a long tail just in case I needed to go back, so I'll probably bind that off and then just seam it the way she calls for it. I just thought, ooh, I could just do a 3-needle bind off with all of it and that'd be easier, but it won't be. I'm thinking ahead and making a good decision, but just messing things up. Okay, so one thing I wanted to chat with you guys about, gosh, there's so many things. I have a long list of things I want to talk to you about, so I'm going to try and get them all in a timely manner. The first thing is that with everything that's going on in the world today, with our world leaders, with racism, with just the awful way people are treating each other, I wanted to do more than just say, I stand with you, or I don't believe in racism, or, you know, like, I do my things behind the scenes that I feel like support marginalized people or support people who have less than I do, but it's not something I want to put up on Instagram and be like, hey, look what I've been doing. But I've been trying to think of what else can I do to help make people's lives better. And so I decided that for the whole month of August, all the proceeds from all my patterns, my knitting patterns, are going to go to ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union, and the AFSP, which is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. The only pattern that won't count in that is the fleece flight, because that goes already to the Livestock Conservancy. So everything I make from the month of August will go to those 2 organizations as a way to give a little something more to them. But because I know that people like sales, and I really want to be able to sell more patterns so that I can give them more money, I'm going to have a 20% off sale on all my patterns for the month of August also. So you guys get a discount, and then all the money that you send in will go to the ACLU and the AFSP. And if you want to pay full price, feel free, but there is a discount, and I'll have everything marked from August 1st through the 31st. The other reason why I chose the AFSP, that American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, is that a few months back, Kaya asked me if I would do a walk. It's called an Out of Darkness walk with her in October. And she has a lot of things that she fights for, you know, and that she believes in, and that she'll stand up for, but she's never asked me to do it with her. So I was really excited when she asked if I would be a part of it. So the Out of Darkness walk is put on by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and they have walks all over the place in many different cities. So if this is something that you are interested in doing, you can check their website and see what they're doing in your area. But they do, they fund scientific research, raise funds for suicide prevention, and help change the conversation around mental health. They do education, educating the public for mental health, about mental health and suicide prevention. They advocate for public policies, and they support survivors of suicide loss and those who were affected by suicide. So this is an important thing to her. So we're going to do their Out of Darkness walk on October 6th. And as a part of that, they ask you to raise funds. So I'm putting the call out there for Kaya. I'll raise my own funds. But if any of you are interested in donating for Kaya's walk, I'm going to put the link in my show notes on ninjachickens.org so that you guys can go directly to her fund, and all of that will go to the AFSP for her Out of Darkness walk. So I'm really proud of her. I think this, like a lot of the things when I was a teenager, I would follow my friends or I would hear adults talking about something, and she just she knows what's going on. She comes up with a lot of these things through her own research and her own, out of her own depth, if that makes any sense. So there's a lot of information that's going to be in this podcast. So if you're missing any of it, it will all be in my show notes on ninjachickens.org. Another thing that I finished was, I'm laughing because this thing is so massive. I finished spinning all of the California red fleece that I got from Maryland Sheep and Wool a couple years ago, and here it is. It is 7.5 ounces, 960 yards of a 2-ply fingering weight yarn. It is so big. It still has so much lanolin in it. I can feel it. It's not sticky, but you can feel that moisture. It smells really good too. Not too sheepy, but so I split this skein or this fleece with someone else who was there because I had just grabbed the California red and there was only one at the whole festival, and I walked past this woman who was asking someone, "Do you guys have any California red?" And I was like, "I do," because I didn't want the whole thing. I didn't think I could do the whole fleece. I just wanted to try it because this is another rare breed, and this was one that I was looking for the fleece flight shawl, but I couldn't find anyone who was selling it. So anyway, I got the fleece and spun this up. She has half of it that she's going to be doing something with, and then we're going to compare, her preparation and what she did to mine. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. It's a really pretty yarn. I'm proud of myself because this was a lot of yarn to spin. I know some of you spin a full fleece, but I rarely do more than 4 ounces at a time of something. So yeah, I like the way it turned out. I'm not sure if I'll leave it white or if I'll dye it. I'm going to have to let it just sit for a little while. Someone recommended, I can't remember the name of the shawl. It's a specific type of Russian shawl, and it's gorgeous lace work, which would be really pretty, but I'm going to have to be in the mood for so much concentration. Maybe during the winter, that would be good. So anyway, here's my spinning. I've also been doing a lot of dyeing. Now that the porch is done, I've got my indigo out on the porch, my indigo vat, and so I've been throwing things in there. I had these 2 skeins of EcoView yarn that were white, and I was playing around with one. This is when I was working on getting the sock blanks knit up, and so they gave me some to play with. And I had put these in marigold. And they were just it was an exhaust bath, and they were just kind of a pale yellow. It wasn't a great color, so I stuck them in the indigo. And there's really very little, if you look closely, you can see some speckles kind of green, but mostly it's a dark blue, and I think they turned out really lovely. So I'll put these to the side. You know how it is. If you like yarn, you spin yarn, and you dye yarn, there's always the side pile. This is another one that I had put in the exhaust bath and then put in the indigo, and this one did turn much more green. But I'm not sure if I'm a fan of the color. This was something that I got, I don't even know what it is, what yarn it is. It was an extra skein that I had picked up, and it didn't have a label. And it just doesn't seem like it's taking color well. First I ecoprinted it. I actually put plants on it to see if it would take the color, and it didn't take them very well. I wonder if there's more than just wool in there. Maybe there's something else in there that's not absorbing the color well. But I've also been doing a lot of eco-printing and on silks, on paper. I have eco-printed a bunch of shawls along with indigo. Let me show you these. So this one I'm keeping. This is not going anywhere because I love the way this turned out. This is that technique I showed you maybe it was last time. It may have been a couple episodes back with a rope. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love the way it turns out. It reminds me of fish scales, but there's also something marbled about it. So yeah, I think that one's really pretty. I did that on a few other things, on some silks. So this one is just a standard silk. One of the smaller ones. And then I did it on some of the larger ones too. I don't know if you remember a while back when I had printed hollyhocks onto some yellow scarves. And they turned out pretty, but there just wasn't enough. It was missing something. So I put it in the indigo. And now, let me show you this one actually. Check that out. Isn't that pretty? It's got that all the way up the side. So I've got these all ready to go in the Etsy shop, but I'm not a fan of the way the pictures came out, so I need to redo the pictures. But I have a bunch of them. Some that are just eco-printed. This one was dyed with indigo first, like the whole vat, just stuck in the vat, and then I eco-printed it. I've just been having fun experimenting. There's a bunch more that I'm getting ready to wash that are not ready yet. This one was dyed with goldenrod and then went in the indigo vat, but I had some resists on it. So I have these little plastic moon phases. And I love the way down here it looks like, because of the moon, it looks like the moon is reflecting in the water. Doesn't it? So anyway, those are all going to be in the shop soon. I have also listed in the shop some eco-printed note cards and some photography note cards, because in the past when I put up some pictures on Instagram that might be a more artsy-fartsy picture, people will say, oh, I love that, you should make cards. And I realized I should. Those are really cool and I like them and I love writing and I love sending out notes and having pen pals, and so it would be fun to make some cards. And so I picked out some of my absolute favorite pictures and put them into categories. So there's a set of winter pictures, and there's a set of wool related pictures, and there's a set of poppies. And so if you're interested, go take a look. They're a lot of fun. I know this is a lot of store stuff and business stuff, but that's what's been happening the last couple of weeks. I've also just put up a newsletter sign up. So if you're interested in keeping up with what's going on with the store or with my teaching, I have a little form now on my website on the main page where you just scroll down a little bit and it'll be on your right where it says sign up for our newsletter. And I'm not going to send them out much. I think I'll send out the first one towards the end of this month, and then probably it's just going to be one a month, if that. It's just to touch base and let you know what's been going on. So sign up for that if you're interested. It won't be spam. Another big thing that I've been doing recently is that I have decided to take on it'll have to be a limited number because I can't do a ton of them, but I am going to be doing eco-printing of wedding bouquets or special occasion bouquets. But the basic idea is that when the wedding is done, the bride can hang her bouquet and dry it and then send it to me, and I will eco-print it onto a shawl. And I have found these shawls that are made with what's called ahimsa silk or peace silk. So the silk is taken from the cocoon after the moth has already hatched, so it doesn't kill the caterpillar. But it's still super soft and flowy and shiny. And so this one I did just as an example, and I put on hollyhocks and Dyer's coreopsis and redbud leaves. I think there is some red Queen Anne's lace on there. And this one I dyed in fresh indigo first. And then I put on maple leaves and eucalyptus. And I think there's some, Dyer's coreopsis on this too. And so the idea is, no matter what the flowers are, I can create something out of it. If they aren't flowers that make a print, like if someone has a bunch of white roses, then what we can do is put the white roses on the silk and use a background color so that they resist the color and you see the shadow of the flowers. So anyway, I am really excited about that. I'm going to start advertising that towards the end of the month also, but if you know of any brides who are wanting to have their bouquets printed onto a silk, let me know. These are massive. These are, gosh, I don't remember the exact measurements, but they're really big. They're woven, so both ends are, they're not seamed, it's a weaving, so it's not going to come undone. And then the shorter ends have delicate tassels, but it's really beautiful. And I got it from a company who buys fair trade, who makes sure that their weavers and silk growers are treated respectfully. Yeah, so I'm excited about this silk. So if you know of someone, send them my way. I'm gonna put up a page on my website that talks about the shawls and the whole process, and I have to look at the numbers a little bit more and figure out the final price. Yeah, so that's another thing I've been up to. I have recently been reading this book. I don't remember if I told you about it or not yet. It is called Yarn from Wild Nettles, A Practical Guide by Bertie Ford. And I know I told you I have a huge nettles patch, and so I was planning on harvesting some to make some yarn, because you can create rope, twine, yarn out of nettles. It's a bast fiber. It's similar in many ways to linen. The problem is I'm finding so many different ways to process it. You could cut it when it's green and just use it like that, but the fiber's a lot more stiff. It's more like a rope. You could cut it and lay it out in the dew and let it wet, or kind of break down the outer materials to get to the inner fibers in the dew. You could do that in still water. You could do it in moving water. But there's always but if you don't catch it in time, then the fibers have broken. Or if you cut it too soon, then you won't have enough fiber. This woman talks about root retting, which is where the process where she actually lets it sit for almost a year out in the field over winter, so that it has the winter weather to kind of break down the outer material, and then she can easily get to the inner core. And by the time she's dealing with the nettles, it's not stingy anymore, so it doesn't bother her. But then it's something like, okay, so you cut it, you make sure it's dry, you sit it out for a year, if not more. Like, the process, if I were to harvest now, I wouldn't have yarn for at least 2 years. And that's so because she wants to spin it. She spindle spins and wheel spins it. She wants a soft fiber, and she found that letting nature do a lot of the breaking down of the outer fibers creates a softer inner fiber, so that she can spin that up, as opposed to getting more of that rope material. Like, if I wanted to go out there right now and cut it down, I could have a piece of, pretty strong twine by this afternoon. Just taking out the outside and using the long strands at the inside, but it's hard. It's not something I would want to wear. So, I honestly don't know if I'm going to go through all of that process just to try it out. I might. There's just a lot of other things that I want to go through right now, and I don't know if I'm going to do all of that. You will find nettle fiber. It's also called ramie. So ramie used to be the name for nettle fiber, and there's many different nettles in the nettle family. But now it's a different, I think I have it somewhere. Yeah, so it's a generic name for the bast fiber of the wider nettle family. But ramie now comes from what's called China grass, which is a different plant. It's in the nettles family, but it's different. And ramie can become very soft, but it's also, industrially processed, and there's chemicals used to soften it and break it down. And there's also a different kind of nettles, I think, that comes from the Himalayas, that is, again, in the nettle family, but it's not the stinging nettles. It's not the Urtica dioica. which is what I've got, and is processed more industrially and can get a little bit softer. So I've actually ordered some of the Himalayan yarn because I want to see what that feels like and try it out. It's a very interesting read if you're interested at all in processing. She talks about the way she does it, which is the root retting, and she also talks about the other ways that it can be done. And I liked it. That gives lots of good information on how you can do it yourself. I just don't know if I'm gonna do it myself. If it weren't so stingy, maybe I'd be more interested in going out there and getting into it, but I don't know. I'd rather be playing in the indigo pot. The last thing I can think of to talk to you guys about is my retreat with Green Mountain Spinnery unfortunately was canceled. So that was going to be the last weekend in September, and I won't be able to go out there. They had to cancel it. So I thought, I have a whole weekend, I have ideas, I really want to do something, I have a new porch, I've been wanting to do a class out here. I've decided to have a weekend here. I don't have all the details, but let me tell you what it's going to be. Because it was, now the weekend is completely open and it's whatever I want to do, I thought it would be really, really cool to combine a bunch of the things that I really enjoy and do those with you over the weekend. And what came to mind is, like I said, I've been making the cards lately, the eco-printing cards and the photography cards, and I've actually been taking out my quill and writing with my, naturally made inks lately, and just having a lot of fun with that. And it totally changes the whole feel of writing when I dip my pen and I write with my quill. It just makes it feel magical, and it made me think about that whole... Writing is our history, it's our vision for the future, it's stories and vows and commitments and magic spells, and like it all comes from writing. You know what I mean? It's like, that's how we communicate. That's how we, I know we talk too, and there's stories that are passed down just, verbally, but there's just something magical about thinking back to the invention of the written word and symbols and how, love letters and love poems and all of that. I don't know. So my thought is this. We get together for the weekend and we create a magical writing kit. And we're going to do that by eco-printing on cotton paper and creating our own note cards. We're going to do that by using the fresh indigo that will still be out in the gardens and doing fresh indigo dyeing so we can really get our hands in there, and dyeing a silk bag that we can put our magical writing kit into. And we will do that by making our own ink, 2 or 3 colors, gathering berries and flowers and making like pokeberry ink, or I just finished making some coreopsis ink. It's a bright orange, or maybe some deep purple berry ink. I don't know. We'll make some different colored inks, and then we are going to take some feathers and we're going to make our own quills. Now, to make a quill specifically just from the feather without the metal nib is kind of a difficult process. You have to cure it so that it's heated, right? And it becomes very hard, and then you have to carve it, this little bitty thing with this little bitty knife, and I don't know that I want a lot of people with little bitty knives out here. I don't want anyone to get hurt. So my thought is that we use the quill, the actual feather, and attach it to the metal nibs so that we have our writing utensil. So you go home with your handmade paper, your handmade quills, your handmade ink, and the bag to carry it in. I think that would be a lot of fun. So I'm putting all that together. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure out the cost, how it's all going to work. It's probably only going to be 8 to 10 people, just because it can't be huge out here. And we're going to make it into a really magical weekend. If you're interested, let me know. I will start getting the details together and putting it on the website, and I'll announce it on Instagram and stuff. But if you know, oh my gosh, that sounds fantastic, I want to come, then please let me know, and we can get some of the details worked out. Okay, I think that's it. Whew! It's been a big couple of weeks. I should probably go check and make sure there's not a bear eating other berries out of my yard. I hope you guys have an amazing couple of weeks. Hopefully, it won't be next time, but in a month, hopefully I'll be able to show you lots of pictures and some video from Toby's trip on the John Muir Trail out west. And yeah, have a great couple of weeks. enjoy your crafting, enjoy your knitting, enjoy your summer or your winter if you are in the southern hemisphere. Maybe get out there and swim in a lake or ski down a mountain. Have some fun. Love you guys. Bye. The Hopi sunflowers are doing amazingly well. In fact, some of them have already started to turn brown. The petals have turned brown, and when this green around it starts turning brown, I will harvest the seeds. But you can see how purple they're getting in there? I just hopefully will be able to get to them before the birds do. It won't be long for this one though.
Could see and hear the water run. The river's gonna cry when you're gone. Where will you go? Won't you miss the ones you know? I'll be here hanging on, waiting for your call. Seems like time as the way passing by leaves a mark in our mind, turn to memory. The river's gonna cry when you're gone, 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 gone. The river's gonna cry when you're gone, gone.